Welcome back to Keep Expecting Miracles. My name is Ilissa.
And I'm Jessica.
How are you guys? And how are you, Jessica?
Yes, I am good. I'm good. I hope everyone is good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm settling into this new year and I am just I feel like I'm looking at the world around me with different eyes. I don't know
Okay.
why. Yeah, just like I feel like I'm just experiencing the outside world and just things differently. There's a
Mm,
different energy. At the end of the year, it was just very chaotic,
hmm
very like people knew that they had to make changes. People knew that they were just I feel like it's just like a clock, like countdown to Christmas, countdown to the new year. So now that the new year is here, even though there's some people that say that, there's a lot of people that say this is not actually the real new year.
Yeah.
It's actually springtime, but I mean, this is a calendar that we live in. It is the new year that we subscribe to.
hmm
So I just feel like even if you believe it or not, you're still on this calendar, you're still on this timeline. So um now that it's here, it just feels different. It feels
Yeah.
like a reset. So,
hmm
yeah.
Yeah. Even typically, I feel like it does. It's definitely what's that word? When you're thinking about the numbers.
Numerology?
Yes, numerologically. It is
Okay, numerologically, okay, yeah.
mhm. It definitely is a starting over point, but
Mhm,
um yeah, definitely energy wise, I see why they would say, around like springtime, March is the new year. But that's good to feel open and free. For me, tax season is I am challenged to look at things with open eyes and not be stressed because
mm,
I have a lot of paperwork to do.
mhm.
um
When you
and
have
so that's
employees, yeah.
yes,
Jessica
it's
has a business where she has to pay employ obviously, she has a business, she has employees, so she is on the other end of tax season, like, as
yes.
the business owner that has to employ people and give people their tax forms and their paperwork. It's a whole
hmm
'nother ballgame.
it's my
I
least
never
favorite
understood
thing
it
to
until
do.
you explained it to me. Yeah. Yeah, it's very it's another world that a
hmm
lot of people are not in. You're just an employee, or if you're just an entrepreneur, like you're an entrepreneur in another way, we actually have employees.
yeah. Yes. So it's like the calm is like before the holiday season. And then, like, once the new year starts, it's like a rush. Everyone, where's my form? Where's my form? I need it now.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
am intentionally going about my days by making sure that I am feeding myself with, just good vibes all around, making sure that I stay spiritually connected and spiritually open. Um, and just keeping my eyes on the blessings. Because I have a tendency to look down and just feel like I'm holding up all of these things and just holding it and suffering in it, and I don't have to do that.
Mm.
I don't
Mm.
have to do that. It's a brand new life. We're in the age of Aquarius. It's a new year, and I am looking forward to this new lifestyle, which is literally just a new state of mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's a new state of mind. It's gonna be a new way of being.
hmm
And now that you have embraced AI more, you can challenge yourself and see how you can use that with different
That part.
aspects of your business. And Morgan DeBond, she has a great episode. I want other people to listen to it too. She has a great episode. She is the creator of Afrotech. She owns Blavity. They own like Travel Noir. They own several different entities. But she's the CEO and founder of Afrotech, and she has a podcast called The Journey. And she interviewed somebody on her podcast recently about she was an AI expert and how you could use AI to increase your productivity. And she like, I'm not using it the way it can be used, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm still on baby level number 1. So I would definitely you should definitely watch that episode and
Yeah, I will.
see how you can use it to help you eliminate some stress.
Mm-hmm. 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 That's, it's you have to go with understanding that stress is just going to be there no matter what.
Right.
And it's you can either sink or you can swim. I know how to
Right.
swim.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Cheers to new clarity and feeling free no matter the
Yeah.
circumstance.
Yes. Cheers to that in this new year. Yeah, we wanted to do a mini pod
Mm-hmm.
again. We've been trying this out for a couple of weeks now, so you let us know how you like the format of the mini pods where we just do one segment. We've mainly been just doing the I am segment since that's like the meat of all of our episodes. But let us know if you want us to just do a mini pod on another specific segment, any of the segments, whether it's manifestation, whether it's herbs, or whether it's witchy shit. I mean, it's all connected. They all combine. So yeah, let us know. Give us some feedback with that. But today we're
Yes.
gonna be talking about food. Spirituality is food. Food as medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritual experience of eating for your body
Yeah.
type.
Yeah.
Assessing what you need and eating in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica recently had, some really positive experiences with food, and you've seen results, so you wanted to share that and talk about that. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm all for that.
With my kids. I mean, and myself as well. But as you know, like the beginning of the school year, um, like the kids would, my son would be in the bathroom for long periods of time. My daughter would be like, my tummy hurts. And so they would just have, like, after eating, they would have these symptoms of aching bellies. And it
Mm,
was, either constipation or diarrhea or just it hurts. Like, and you could never tell, like, what's going to happen. So I'm like, oh, shoot, like, am I going to have to take him to the doctor, like a gastroenterologist, and get this checked? Like, what's going to need to happen?
mm-hmm,
So I was just like, you know what? Let me just feed them the food that I want to eat, which I like to eat whole foods, and also in the manner in which I like to eat it,
mm-hmm,
which is either like stewed, like soups where all of the nutrients stay in the pot.
mm-hmm,
Sometimes baked, just depends on, what we're eating. But my focus was how many nutrients can I get into your body at this meal?
mm,
And what is the best way to make, what is the best style of cooking for it?
mm-hmm,
So I started feeding them um, a lot of beans, a lot of root vegetables, a lot of potatoes. They were drinking tea more often. So instead of buying juices from the store, I was
mm-hmm,
making like lemonades, like, which a lemonade meaning like, if you make the elderberries, if I like make elderberry tea or something, boil the elderberries, add, a sweetener, dilute it with water, add lemons to
mm-hmm,
taste.
mm-hmm,
What else? I would also make them. I made this really good blend once. That included, of course, hibiscus. It's for me, like as a chill drink to drink that just like tastes really good. Hibiscus is so good. So
mm-hmm,
they were always sipping on stuff like that. Oh, golden milk.
mm-hmm,
We started drinking golden milk at least weekly.
mm-hmm,
I haven't made it in a while. I need to make it again. But
mm-hmm.
it just slowly, like I knew that, okay, if I focus on making sure that we're not eating out as much and they have as much home cooked meals as possible, because we were eating
Mhm,
out a lot. And what, a lot of times, like, you think that what you're eating when you're eating outside is healthy, but we don't know what they're putting in the food. We don't know where the food
mhm,
is coming from.
mhm,
It can have additives, even though it just seems like it's fine. But the body, only the body truly knows. So, um, we went from me cooking maybe twice a week to me cooking 5 to 7 times a week. And
mhm.
them mostly eating home cooked meals and with nutrition as the focus. Um, and they're good. They're no longer, suffering. If they do suffer from stomach pains, it's because they ate too much.
Mhm,
And they're not
mhm,
hungry as often. Like, remember, they were getting seconds of their foods. They kept going, I'm still hungry.
mhm.
And so I
I
told him, I'm like,
remember
I
that.
think you're still hungry because the food is not nutrient dense. Like, your body is
Yeah,
still wanting some more vitamins.
right, right. Either
So,
that or they have parasites too,
yeah, true. That part too. Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But,
but
a lot of that stuff I learned from you.
yeah, yeah, my food journey is I mean, we go in cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like you said, with just the cooking at home, like you have a season where you're cooking everything, and then you have a season when you're eating out a lot, and so you have to just always be constantly assessing and reflecting on where you're at and what you're able to do and what you and not not be guilty, not feel shame about what you're feeding your family. But every year I find new discoveries in how food is medicine to me. I've learned it. I mean, my food journey started way back in college. Like I remember it just I did it as an experiment. Um,
Oh,
and it wasn't even for nutrition. It was just literally an experiment for my what class was it? My public speaking. I took a public speaking course.
really?
Mhm. And we had to in the course we had to come up with an argument, a speech argument, like I forgot like the name of the argument, but a persuasive argument. So
Mm-hmm.
you had to persuade somebody on your point of view, on a specific point of view, and I had in my mind, I think I had already said I wanted to do a fast with the church. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna connect the two. I'm going to do a fast. Not gonna eat fast food for 30 days. I was in college now. I'm not gonna
Mm.
eat out fast food for 30 days, and I'm going to use this in my public speaking class as my argument on why you should not eat fast food. And I mean, I'm like, okay, I'm the experiment. I'm gonna come up with the speaking points because this is how what I and it changed my life. I use that as a point. Um, I remember going home and my parents are like, "What? You're not eating out?" I'm like, "No, I can't eat that. I would be in transit. Like when you're in college, you're going to class, coming from class, going to this event, going to this activity. I lived at school. Like I wasn't sitting home
Mm-hmm.
cooking all my meals, so I literally had to be intentional about the food that I put in my body. I had to plan. I
Mm-hmm.
had to say, "Look, I'm not gonna be home for a couple of hours. What am I gonna eat?" But I got straight A's that semester. Okay, I got an A on that speech, because I was
Good.
able to speak to the benefits of not eating fast food, the benefits of how my body felt. One of the major benefits as a college student was I saved a lot of money. I don't remember the specific amount, but I saved so
Wow.
much money
What
from not
what would
eating out.
you what would you eat? How would you like?
Girl, that was so long ago. I don't even remember that. I mean, I just started cooking food. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
cooking my food, and I would just like I would meal prep. I would meal plan. I would cook ahead of time and eat it.
Mm-hmm.
So just the food that I knew how to cook. Or I would just eat like a fruit or a vegetable.
Because
Like if
I asked that. Because one of the things that has helped us, like the one of the reasons that I have been able to be home and cook and stuff is because our schedules weren't as busy.
Mhm.
So I'm like thinking about like how do you maintain that, you know, with a busier schedule, with having to eat out. Um, but of course, it's just packing the food to go and making sure, like, my solution for that right now is when I do cook, I make sure I have leftovers.
You have leftovers or you just plan ahead? You
Yeah.
plan ahead, you make sure you have snacks, you make sure you have healthy filler options, whether it's nuts or, almonds or,
Mm-hmm.
seeds or fruit that you can take or just something that you can take. There's like that was in 2000. When was that? 2008, 9? I don't even remember when that was, but that was so long ago. There was way less options than there are now. I remember that was like a foreign
Yeah.
concept to be.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not even talking about vegetarian, just not eating out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I evolved every year, every couple of years I would just evolve. I mean, of course I went back to eating fast food. But I would just eliminate things. I would eliminate certain places as the years went on. And then the most impactful thing that I had was when I've talked about this before on the podcast, is when I was in training, a mind body medicine training. And it was a whole 2 days on, it was a week long training. It was a whole 2 days on food as medicine.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and there was a lady that specifically talked about food as medicine as a woman and how you should eat according to your hormonal cycles, and how people were healing themselves of different things, or how they were noticing connections, the mind body connection, the gut brain connection, like how we did an experiment with it. Like at that training, it was an experiential training. So we
Mm-hmm.
only ate healthy foods at the training. They only served things that were healthy for, nourishing. They did a whole cooking demonstration in the training. So we learned how to make hummus. We learned, like, it was,
Wow.
yeah, it was crazy. This was in 2016, I think. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it was one thing just realized what I was about to say. But basically, the training got me thinking. Like, oh, I was talking about, because we were there. So it was a training that was brought to the hospital. But my group of people, obviously, was a lot of therapists there. There were nurses,
Mm-hmm.
doctors. It was a lot of psychiatrists. You know, but specifically mental health, gut brain,
Mm.
and how food impacts your mood, and how different types of food determine your mental state.
Mm.
Not
That
like,
makes so much sense.
yes, like how eating certain foods can lead to depression. Like
Yeah.
sugar, obviously alcohol is a depressant. But
Mm-hmm.
we talked about why people even go to fast food in the first place, and how we're emotionally connected to food. Like when we're stressed out, why we want sugar, because it makes
Mm-hmm.
us feel good. Why,
Yeah.
some home cooked foods that are not healthy for us, we want that. Like we want foods with a lot of butter and starch and sugar because it makes us feel good. But it
Mm-hmm.
becomes a cycle. Like, I'm eating this because I feel a certain way, so let me go ahead and get a whole thing of mashed potatoes because it makes me feel like comforted. My grandma is with me if I eat a whole bunch of mashed potatoes, but now
Mm.
I'm depressed because that starch turned into sugar, and
Yeah.
the sugar now is making me be inflamed, and I have body aches, or, like it
Wow.
literally leads to depression. So now I'm in
Yeah.
another cycle. Let me eat something else. Let me eat ice cream. And it's just a cycle. So we talked about
Mm-hmm.
how, why, when you're stressed out, you're like, dang, let me just go get a hamburger from McDonald's real quick. You're more prone to eating out and going to get these things when your schedule is overloaded. when you're not being intentional about your time and where you're going and what you're doing with it. So
Yeah.
there is a connection with that. You said your schedule is not so filled up with stuff. You are able to think about what you want to eat because you're not stressed out and you're not craving those
Yes.
type of foods.
And you know, because it's the more you eat it, the more you crave it. And
Right.
that's something that I noticed like when we went, Alyssa and I, if you've never gone on to YouTube and watched our video about the message behind the podcast, or excuse me, the reason we started the podcast, there's a video on there about this, but we went on a retreat in Costa Rica called the Good Vibes Retreat. And they didn't tell us that they were going to be like altering our diet,
Oh, I knew
but
it. That's what they do on
see,
retreats. You just didn't know it.
I didn't know, but see, I went on the retreat. There was a lot I didn't know because, you know, remember, I was depressed. So I was just like, just
She
get me
was
out of here.
just give me yeah, she had faith. She had blind faith and she's like, "Okay, I'm
I
here."
sure
But
did.
see, a lot of people were shocked about the food that we ate. A lot of
Yeah.
people I'm like, "Y'all, it's a freaking retreat. What do you think they're going to be serving us McDonald's?" No.
Look, but okay. So they started us off on, you know, a meat. Like day one was a meat based meal. We had meat based meals,
Was it
and
chicken?
then
Yeah.
yeah, and then as the days went on, they slowly. I don't even want to say it slowly. I feel like on day two we didn't have meat. After that, there was no more meat until it was time for us to get ready to go. Then they brought back like fish, and then it was chicken the next day after that. Um, but you know, they had us on this pure, like a vegetarian diet. There were still eggs, so there were still like, um, you know, dairy products and stuff. Sometime not like milk, but like eggs and stuff. But the whole thing is that there what also was not there were little shops. We weren't able to go and pick up a Coke. We couldn't just go and get a bag of chips. You couldn't just go and get some cookies, like, or a Danish or some coffee. Like,
As your comfort. Yeah.
yes, you couldn't, we
Yeah.
couldn't do any of that. So
And we
it
wanted
was,
to. People would want
yes,
to,
we were all craving sugar. But what
but
I
because
recognized, go ahead.
yeah. No.
Okay. What I recognized was that, like, after a while, I was like, I'm actually okay without it. Even though it was like hard, I started to feel so much better. Yes, we were
Mhm.
doing different workshops that cleared us spiritually,
Yeah.
but being without the sugar, that was actually at that time my second time not having sugar. The year prior to that, I had done a keto diet. Because I was working with a trainer, and he was like, "You need to go keto." It was hard to work out and do keto. I don't recommend doing that. Okay,
Mm.
but because you know, there's also some fruits that you can't eat, fruits and vegetables that you can't eat on keto. But that's beside the
Mm.
point. Point is that at that time, when I went without the sugar, you know, I
Mhm.
did notice, okay, I feel different. I feel lighter. But
Mhm.
then doing it again in Costa Rica, I was like, I'm experiencing like some
Mhm.
healthier thought processes here. Like something's
Mhm.
going on.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say was is the reason why not only people was craving it because they're probably you're craving it because you're used to it, you're addicted to it. But
Mm-hmm.
when you do work like that, when you are doing mental, spiritual work, you're triggered. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to think about when you are triggered, what do you want? You want comfort. What makes you feel good?
True.
Good food. And so the fact that we had, a chef preparing our meals now. It's not like we were just eating scraps, y'all. We were eating
Mm-hmm.
this Italian lady, this beautiful Italian chef was fixing our food. Okay.
Yes.
The food was delicious.
Yeah.
Um but it wasn't what we were used to and it wasn't our comfort. We were being triggered during the day and so you want to eat a good meal, you want to eat something good to make you feel good, but that's not what was happening at the end of the day. And so
Mm-hmm.
you got to see like I don't this is how people use food for comfort. This is and even Iyanla, we've talked about her on the podcast. She's identified people that, when you go through certain trauma, especially sexual trauma, women will use food and overeat. Not only
Hmm.
because it makes you feel good, but because you now are putting on pounds, and maybe you're less likely to be sexually assaulted.
I I I have something to say about that. I can relate to that. When okay. I know we could talk about this in private, but we're recording, so I'm gonna just say it's on the podcast because why not? Right? We're here.
Yeah.
I was wondering for myself because before I changed up like the kids' diet, like, you really helped me with that because you were like, why don't you just cook stuff that you like, not just what they like? Make stuff that you want to eat. And I'm like, that's true. Like, okay, Jess, we're doing this. Eat no matter what they say, no matter the complaints. I had to sit through their complaints sometimes. And even now still do. But I also realized they don't really know what's good for them. Like, I'm not hurting them, it's only adding value to their lives. So, but I went through one of my prayer meditation sessions asking for clarity behind me being overweight. Why is it that when I had dropped 30 pounds back in, what was it, 2021 or 2022? 2021. Yeah, I had lost it was like 25 pounds. And I remember saying to one of my good friends that I had back then, I told her, I was like, I don't feel ready to be fit. Like, I really don't care about being fit right now because it doesn't seem like it matters. And so I'm like, but why would I sabotage myself like that and not be ready to be fit? And then I think back to the times when I was fit, what type of attention from men I was getting without asking for it. Not being dressed in any sort of way. Just you can't walk across the parking lot without being heckled at. You can't go to certain places without somebody, to me, being disrespectful. Not. It's more than just the, oh wow, you're beautiful kind of thing. It's like, sometimes it could get disrespectful. And I did experience that stuff, especially as a teenager. Once I really came into myself, came into my body, I was fit. And so one of the revelations was that I have been keeping this weight on and sabotaging my now adult life and having a more fit appearance because I don't want that attention. And so I was like, what? What? Yeah. First of all, kudos to me for having this realization. Yeah. Like on my own. I was like very proud of that, but also hurt because I'm like, why would I allow outside influences to affect me that much?
Affect you that much.
Yeah. Just that much to, well, I don't want to appear like this because I don't want this type of attention. So I'm just going to make sure that it was like subconscious. Wasn't on purpose.
Subconscious. Yeah. It's defense mechanisms. It's subconscious. Like your body does it. Your mind does that, as a protection.
And this is new. I just had this revelation, in November. It's brand new. As of once, as we're recording this, tomorrow, I actually have a meeting with a physical trainer, or not a physical trainer. Physical trainer. I was gonna say physical therapist, a physical trainer, to get back on track. So I'm like, now that it's like it's food being medicine, right? Healthy eating, bringing this back. I'm like, okay, I've now have this eating food that's good for me. Now have this clarity of mind where I'm able to be in the receptive mode. Sugar is not clouding my thoughts. And, having that revelation, okay, now I can move forward. Now that's recognized, it can move away to the side. What do I actually want for myself and my body?
What do I actually, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I like I said, I'm happy that you've had that realization. And it's being like, I mean, I've watched Iyanla Fix My Life, being in the mental health space, like I've seen, anything from eating disorders, people overeating, just the emotional connection that we have to food, how it does
Mhm.
affect our mental health. But like that, the reason why I brought that up is because that is a very common thing. And I've
Mm.
seen it like a lot. Like I would
Mm.
say like the people that I have come in contact with, the people that I know, I've seen it on TV, I've seen it, with other people, therapists that I know, like that is a very common thing. We are all emotionally tied to food. It triggers certain memories within us. It can
Yeah.
be used as protection, defense mechanisms. Like there is a connection that we have, and it's only, helped me along with my journey with food and, eating healthy and, um, my progression and my evolution just, continued and it enhanced and down to like when I was healing fibroids, like cutting out sugar, like you said,
Mhm.
cutting out alcohol, um, you know, obviously introducing herbs. That was when I started introducing foods to heal me. It was
Yes.
more, it was less about eliminating. Like I was like, okay, I can't eliminate anything else. What do I eat? Now I need to introduce the nutrients like you're doing with your kids. Like
Mhm.
how many nutrients can I get in one thing? Am I drinking nutrients with the teas, with the lemonades, with the, like with the elixirs that you have in the back behind you? Like how can I introduce things that can heal my body? And there's we go in seasons like Donnell over the holiday season. Like I love baking cookies. That's something that I loved to do when I was little, baking cookies for Santa. And now that I'm an adult, I love doing it with Alina. So I was like looking for recipes to bake, and he's just like, why are you doing all this sugar? Like, you don't want her to be addicted to sugar. You don't want to introduce her. But I'm just like, this is our tradition. I really had to think, like, do I want to start this? Like, do I want to open up this can of worms? Like,
Mm.
is there a healthy way to do it? Is there a mindful way to do it? Like, w- just because it's a tradition, do I have to continue? Do I need to introduce this to her?
You got a point. That's a good point.
So yeah, yeah, and that's a whole nother thing. Like I have children that are small, and so your children are older. Like
Mhm.
this is stuff that me and Donnell know now, and so we're making decisions. Like we don't have to start them on this track to where we
Mhm.
have to correct and fix. Like they
Mhm.
can literally eat healthy from the beginning and not know that they're missing stuff. Like I know people
Yeah.
who are vegan who have children that are vegan. Like so
Yeah.
it's very possible.
Mhm.
It's very possible. I mean, like, we're not going vegan, like, right now, but we definitely like, our journey has led us to doing fasts, and I would do, girl, smoothie fast, liquid fast,
Mhm.
juicing. I would juice for 7 days straight, only juice and smoothies.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. I would do cleanses, parasite. Another thing, parasite cleansing. I know people that do parasite cleanses twice a year.
Mm.
Just from the stuff that we consume throughout the year, whether it's meat, seafood, those things have parasites in them. They
Mhm.
grow. We're feeding sugar, candida,
Mhm.
yeast.
Mhm.
I remember I had found a lady that has a candida diet, like anti-candida diet cookbook,
Oh,
fixing
okay.
foods that kill yeast and don't promote yeast growth in the body. Like that was a whole nother thing that I had to cure myself of yeast
Yeah.
infection.
Same with me. And for me, luckily, it was lowering my sugar intake and also increasing my intake of sorrel, the hibiscus, roselle hibiscus.
Hmm.
That actually helped with it. But um, yeah, it uh, gathering my thoughts. It is not until that you change your diet. Sometimes, like some people. Okay, I felt like I was okay for a while because I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, my diet's fine. But once I changed it, then I was like, oh shoot, my
Hmm.
diet was not fine. And then once I realized that, yeast was an issue for me, the yeast wasn't like to go. TMI, you know, women get yeast infections sometimes vaginally. But, you know, that was some of the case, but also I could just tell from my tongue and also like from my skin, like in the
Mhm.
folds of my skin, sometimes it would get like a weird type of itchy, and or like if I was sweat, it'd have a weird smell. This is embarrassing to say out loud, but it's the
Mhm.
human body. And so
It's a human body.
once I cleaned my diet, then those things went away. And then also I was able to drop pounds like that. I just snapped because that's what it felt like. Um,
Mhm.
you know, pounds dropped, and
Mhm.
um, you know, I just got better. And I feel like it was one of the first steps to curing that depression that I was in,
Mhm.
was making sure that I was getting fed properly. And also, it was a vitamin deficiency.
That's a
I,
big one. A lot of people don't know that they're deficient with
hmm
vitamins. That is a big one.
especially if you don't really go to the doctor, which, you know, like me, like going once a year, whatever. But you know, going to get a blood test all the time, or being like, oh, hey, doc, I'm depressed, whatever. I would never say that. You know, can you check my levels of my nutrition, whatever. Um, I never did that, but it wasn't until I started eating more vegetables and starting to take my supplements, which
Mm.
were, you know, I started with tinctures, not tinctures that I made, tinctures that I was buying from the store. And I was just feeling like a brand new woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm like, hmm
yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
yeah, now I realize I was not nutritionally sound. Like
Mhm.
I was lacking.
Mhm. Until you felt the difference in what the changes that you made. And you're absolutely right when you said that a lot of people think that they're, "Oh yeah, I eat fine. My diet's fine. I'm just mindful about what I eat." Or that you could always be better.
Yeah.
And I've learned that just over the years with the different people that I've met and the things that they eat. And I would have conversations with people. I remember having conversations with you, and I would just be looking at you like, okay,
Mhm.
all right. You think you eat fine? All right. Because I'm like, all right, we're just gonna leave it there. Like you have to. It has to be something within yourself that says, you know what, I need to make this change.
Yeah.
Um, but that I feel like that's how my doula was with me recently. Like before we left Arizona, like her and her family, they're vegan,
Mm.
and like when I did my initial assessment with her, like like I feel like I eat fine. We eat pretty healthy.
Yeah.
But just talking to her, she's looking. I know it was me. I could see myself in her looking at me like, girl, you know, y'all need to make some changes.
Mhm.
There are definitely improvements that you can make, and you can see it in how the health of your pregnancy. I mean, I was pretty healthy for the most part, but it was certain things, certain symptoms that I was having. Like she was like, "You are lacking nutrients in this area. Like
Mm.
you're craving. I didn't eat beef. You're craving beef because you need more iron.
Mhm.
Like." You're, sick because maybe you're lacking magnesium, maybe you're lacking, like, there's specific nutrients that you need. Like, she made me, not only did she give me a tea blend, but she made me sea moss.
Mm.
And that, that'll get your gut right up to speed. Like,
Yeah, it's full of
I
minerals.
yes, it's full of, and that's what she was saying. There's micronutrients and minerals that we don't know that we are missing or we're lacking until
Mhm.
we add them, until we have
Yeah.
them, and you're just like, oh,
Oh,
because a
like
lot of
seaweed. Sorry, go ahead.
seaweed, yes, seaweed. Oh, yes, seaweed is a staple in our household now because her little son, bless his heart, he came over to our house with her for a visit, a doula visit, and he was playing with Alina, and that was one of the snacks that he brought. And I remember when he started eating it, and Alina was looking at him, and Alina loves food. And
Mhm.
so she would pull out her snack, processed food, and he pulled out his snack, and he's just like, "You don't eat seaweed? I love seaweed." He was just chomping it. He put the whole stack of it together and just chomped it like it was a sandwich. Like, he's
Aw.
just like 5 or 6 years old, like chomping it.
Yeah.
Alina was just like, "No, I don't eat seaweed." And so I put that in my mind, and so it's like the next time I go to the store, Imma get some seaweed for her, and I started eating it, she was like, "What are you eating?" I was like, "I'm eating seaweed. Remember what he was eating? What Hoodoo was eating?" And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Hoodoo eats seaweed," because they loved each
Yeah.
other. She
Aw.
loved that time that she spent with him, and so I
Mhm.
knew that she, had fun with him, so if I
Mhm.
said, like, "If he eats this, you can" she eats that as a snack now.
Good.
That's in our household. I can't go to the store without getting that. We have to make sure we have seaweed in the house, and guess who else eats it as a snack now? My mom.
Really?
She
Wow.
eats her seaweed. She's like, "This is
Yes.
good." I'm
Uh-huh.
like,
And it's
"Yeah."
mineral rich. Yeah. That's the one thing that my kids love. But you know why? What put justice on it, why she was okay with eating it too, like getting used to eating it.
Mhm.
Um, because what's that little boy when she was a toddler? Ryan's Toy Review.
I
Ryan's
think
Toy
so,
Review.
Ryan.
Yeah,
Ryan.
he was very popular. She loved him, and they had an episode once. They would do have like their family meals recording, the kids eating their family meals, and
Mhm.
she's like, "Hey, they're eating, they're eating that," and I would buy it, but girl, after that, she was just eating them like all the time. Jaden loved it. To excuse me, Jaden always my eldest. Is Jaden, and he's always liked it. But one thing that I have to tell them, as they're getting older now, they're not babies anymore getting these new foods that, they easily adjust to, you know?
Mhm.
So I tell them now, like when I introduce new foods to them, I'm like, you have to, just because you don't like it right now, doesn't mean that you're never going to like it. You just
Right.
don't like it now.
Right.
Allow yourself to ease into it. Keep on tasting it until
Right.
you enjoy it. Like you do have to adjust your palate. And it's like we went through that when going from like not really drinking herbal teas to like, okay, well, let me just try all these new herbal teas.
Right.
Like your
Right.
your
Right.
palate changes, your preferences change. And I just want people to know that they have to allow for that. They have to give themselves time to get used to it and not just to quit just because, oh, this tastes nasty.
Exactly.
Like you figure out another way to take. You know what I made my dinner with the other night? Was
What?
with bitter melon.
Mm.
Um, I did it in a stew with other vegetables. Everybody
Oh,
ate it.
wow. Wow.
I'm
Yeah,
like
see,
bitter.
I like that that's what I have to, even though I eat healthy, I have to try to do more nutrient dense. Like, how many nutrients can I get in one meal? Like, you do that very well, especially with the herbs.
Mhm.
Like, Jessica does a lot of fine cooking. And so you fine dining cooking, and so she's able to do fresh herbs and like fresh like vegetables, and obviously fresh vegetables, but I feel like you do that very well with herbs, like
Mm.
cooking with like
Girl, because I be putting ladies' mantle in my when I'm making stews like with beans and stuff. It adds, just like the bitter melon, how it just adds depth to the flavor.
mhm,
Um
mhm.
and I have my mason jar right there on the stove, and one day I was like, let me just throw a little bit of this in there. It tastes good. Oh, it tastes great. Okay, I'm gonna keep adding this all the time.
Mhm, mhm.
I'll find a way to I'll drink the herbs as a tea, and I'll put it in my stews or my soups, or sprinkle
Yeah.
it. But it's also what I like that you do is eating foods from from different countries. Like
Mhm,
you made me feel like, okay, I can go and try Indian food again, because for a while I had Indian food that really turned me off. I was just like,
mm,
I can't go back, girl. And then
mhm.
I went back and I was like, oh shoot, like let me figure out how to make this at home too. And that's the thing with eating out. I found that if I do have to eat out, we're going to have Mediterranean, we're going to have Thai, we're going to have authentic Chinese, we're going to
Yes.
have Indian.
Yes.
Like, we're
Yes.
going to those specific places. And, yes, we're Jamaican, but
Yes. Yes.
I will not mention that there is a specific Jamaican shop that I don't go to because I feel like they put a lot of preservatives in their food.
You can
So,
taste it. You can taste
oh,
it.
I
Yeah.
can, yes.
Yeah, it's not fresh.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so we tend to go that route. The the fresher route, which, you know, these places don't have drive-throughs. We still go to places that have drive-throughs when we need to, you know, if we don't have time. That's still something that we do, but it's not like before it was like a weekly thing.
It was a
Now
part
it's
of
like,
y'all's routine. It was a part of your life.
yes.
I remember one time specifically talking to you, and you're talking about y'all. You just asking me something about your husband, and I was like, okay, well, you know, you got to change y'all diet so he can, you know, get better. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you got to stop doing that. You got to stop going to McDonald's. You got to stop. And I was on the phone with y'all, and y'all had just pulled up to McDonald's. Yeah, let me get this. I'm like, I just told this girl they got to stop doing it. I'm
Oh
like, that
Lord.
was a part of my journey too, is when, like, when people would ask me stuff or ask me for advice, like, okay, I'm let me just give them the information. That doesn't mean that they're gonna put it into practice right then and there. Like, I would get
Mm-hmm.
mad. I used to get mad. Like, I just told these people this is what you need to do. Y'all over here going to McDonald's. Like, what the?
Yeah.
It was just a part of your. It's like somebody's telling you something, but you don't know. You're just like, okay, I hear you, but I'm still about to do this because we're hungry and we need food right now. Like,
Yes, because it's hard. You can't. It's difficult to put into practice initially.
yeah.
It's like it takes time. It takes time. And now I'm to the point where we were on the phone the other day, and I was like, "Can you believe I used to get hungry and say I'm gonna go to McDonald's because I'm hungry,
Hmm.
and then
Mhm.
wonder why
Not
10
even
minutes later we
food.
hungry again?
Not even food.
Yeah, you're just filling yourself up with calories.
Yeah, you're filling yourself up with toxic poisons.
That part.
You're actually killing your body. You're not,
Yeah.
and that's a whole nother conversation as it pertains to development in children and
Mm-hmm.
the big word of autism spectrum. And but one thing that I learned living in Phoenix from the indigenous culture is like eating fresh whole foods, and even as adults, even though our brain is still developing and growing, because I say that because we're making neural pathways every day with the new information that we learn and the new
Yeah.
experiences that we have. But we know specific parts of our brain stops developing when we reach a certain age. But you are calcifying your pineal gland, which is like people say that it's connected to your third eye, and that's also, helps with language. I don't know the brain, so people that know brain science, please, like, give me some grace here. But there's a reason why, like, people develop Alzheimer's, people develop autism. Like, these are developed. You're not born with autism. You're not born with Alzheimer's. You develop it because of what you're feeding your body, what you're putting in your body, the toxins. It's your pineal gland getting calcified. So when they talk about detoxing, when they talk about cleansing, and that's going clear, that is what people mean when they say you have to be clear to be in alignment and hear the guidance and the spirituality and the things that you need to do,
Mm-hmm.
is because you're decalcifying pineal glands in your brain. The pineal gland in your brain.
And that process of getting clear, I wish for everybody to feel that, to feel the difference. It
Brain
is
fog is
life
real.
changing.
It is life changing.
And what's so scary for me, it makes me emotional just to think about it. Like, what's so scary is when you're in that brain fog, you don't realize it. You don't feel
No,
different. You feel
no.
like, yeah, you're annoyed all the time, maybe angry all the time, in pain all the time, tired all the time, you know?
I
And you
mean,
just feel
not
like
being able to
what?
focus, ADD. People think that they have
Hmm.
ADD. No, you just have brain fog and you're not eating the right foods.
Yeah, it feels like your homeostasis is just different and it just feels normal and
Mm-hmm.
it's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like part of me wants to like save everybody.
You can't
Like
do that.
when I pass by McDonald's and I see people in the driveway, in the drive-through, I will be like, "Go eat somewhere else." Like I literally wanna do that now, and I'm like, I don't. I just
People,
hope for people to
yeah,
experience.
people come into their own when they're supposed to, if they are supposed to. Some people, I mean, I say this all the time. Some people are not meant to elevate.
Yeah, yeah.
And people are
But
meant to stay where they're at. Like, there's millions of people in the world. Like, not everybody is gonna reach new levels.
yeah, and I think that's part of also our spiritual growth.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that I know for myself, it's allowing people to be where they are.
exactly. Exactly. And accepting people for that. That's what I've had to
Yeah.
do. That's helped me grow too, is accepting, there's people that had to accept me. Like, I wasn't, I'm not near where I want to be or where I'm supposed to be for my soul's evolution, but like, there are people that had to accept me. There are
Hmm.
people that are looking at me like, you have a lot to learn, girl.
Oh
Like,
Lord. Uh-huh.
even now, I'm learning every freaking day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a journey, and we're happy that we can learn, and that's why we wanted to, you know, share our experiences on this podcast, is as we experience new things and learn, is, you know, sharing it with other people so you can do these experiments, so you can try things out with yourself, with your family, with your kids, with your partners, um so that you can live a new life too.
Before we end, I want to leave people, especially the um women and mothers who are watching. Um One, you shared an app with me that I still got to download. But it's an app that you heard on another podcast that has been helping to find out what foods you should be eating based on your menstrual phase.
Mhm.
I forgot the proper name of the phase. Phases, what they're
Mm.
called as a whole. But if you can share that information, like what app that is.
Well, there's different apps. The one that I'm currently using, I use different ones. The one that I'm currently using now, let me see, hold on. There are so the Flow app is one of them.
Oh, okay.
They share information about your cycle, and another app is the one that I'm using. I'm not using that one right now, but I have used that for at least 2 years. The one that I just started using is called the Agenda app.
Okay.
And that helps you. It talks about reclaiming your menstrual cycle and the power that you have over your body.
Mm.
Um, and so they do different suggestions. And then, I'm getting ready to, what I want to do for this new year is I'm going to use ChatGPT to help me with creating. I'm going to put my cycles information in there. I'm going to ask it to help me create, because that's what I used to do when we would be on our fast. I would have to create meal plans, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like what I'm, because that is the only way that I can eat healthy and help myself. It be, strict in that way, is
Hmm.
what do I need to eat on specific days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but I want to create a meal plan for my cycle, like
Yeah.
specific nutrient dense foods based on the follicular phase, based on the menstrual phase, based on the ovulation phase, like which I should be eating, with also suggestions of drinks, because that's what gets me too, is like, what am I supposed to be drinking? Obviously we can
Yeah.
drink tea and stuff, but what other suggestions do you have? So I'm about to level myself up with ChatGPT to help me create a meal plan with actual meals, recipes too.
Yes. And it'll do it. I had it do that for me and the kids, or the kids and I let it know that we needed to increase our protein intake in order to, you drop fat by increasing protein intake over time. And I was like, hey, I need help with this. And I'm looking at the recipes and I'm like, we don't eat like this. I was like, hey, I'm Jamaican. Girl, it gave me Jamaican recipes,
That's a
how to
good
increase the protein in those
idea.
recipes. I'm like, thank you.
That's a good idea. I'm gonna put that. Hey, I'm Afro Caribbean, Latina,
Hmm.
Black. I live in Florida. I'm used to eating, you know, we love seafood.
Yeah.
It just for overall balance.
Yeah, because you want it to be,
balance.
you still want it to be something that you like and enjoy.
Right.
Um,
Right. It doesn't have to be
mhm.
something that's completely foreign to you. And
Yeah,
also things that are in season. I need
that
to
part.
add that. Things that are in season, things that are local to where I live now too, because that's
Yes.
a whole nother thing about where eating for where you live. So, yep, 2025 thing, that's what I'm doing.
Yes. That's good. And then
Mhm.
it's once our, once your diet is right, it affects your immunity, right? Not
Mhm.
only it's
Mhm.
like it helps you on a spiritual and physical level,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be connected and just to be one, because if you're well all the time, if you're just well, mind, body, and spirit, like there's no stopping you.
Yes, yes. Well, this was supposed to be a mini pod, but it ended up
I
being
know.
56 minutes, so it's okay. It's all right. We had to expand on what we were talking about and give ourselves the grace and the time. So thank you guys for listening. Like and
Yes.
subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Share our podcast. And our website is going to be launching soon. So, and until next time,
Bye.
bye.